Wild Coast FM, your community connection.
It's 20 minutes past 10, and it's time for Sandy Sizzles. Taking a bit long there to sizzle, Sandy.
Yes, you're right. Good morning, Finola, and hello to everybody listening out there.
Good morning.
I'm a little bit late this morning. I apologise,
No
but
problem.
better late than never, as they
Absolutely,
say.
and at least safe and sound.
Absolutely, no rushing. I don't like to rush on the roads.
Yes.
Yeah. Today I'm going to do a little bit of baking, biscuits and some muffins.
Always good.
The first biscuits I'm doing are some cheesy biscuits, the kind of biscuit you could have with drinks
Yes.
or use as a snack. You know, have people round and you want to pull something out. Maybe you don't have some of those biscuits, salty cracks or something like these.
That's
these
it.
are really delicious.
Can these be frozen beforehand?
I don't, the biscuits.
Well, if you make them up and then freeze them and then just put them in the oven before you actually need them to serve them.
I'm not too sure. I've never done that.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
But you know, they're so easy, Finola, that it's not. It goes very quickly.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. All you need is 2 cups of grated cheddar cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need a 150-gram packet of crisps, the cheese and onion ones.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And they must be finely crushed.
Yes.
Okay, a cup of cake flour and 100 grams of margarine or butter at room temperature, so it's nice and soft.
Okay.
And then all you do is preheat your oven to 200 and grease a baking tray. And mix your cheese, your crisps, your flour and the butter together, and it forms a nice dough.
It sounds really easy too.
It's so easy. You
Yes.
roll it into balls about walnut size,
Yes.
put it on the tray and flatten it with a fork, and bake it for 10 minutes in the middle of the oven and cool it on a rack.
Oh, that
they
sounds
are
lovely.
delicious.
I can imagine.
And so easy and so quick.
As you were saying, so easy. Yes, you really can do these beforehand.
Yes, I mean, if somebody's just popped in, you could quickly go into the kitchen and make them.
Absolutely.
As long as you've got the crisps. They are important.
Okay, all right.
You must always have that because that's what makes it, actually gives it a wonderful flavour. And then I've got another recipe that I always make jam drops, which is a dough which you make into little balls, make a little indent in the middle and put the jam in it.
Okay.
Now this is the same sort of recipe, but it uses cheese as well.
Now, that's a very nice combination.
I think it's a lovely
I know people
combination.
like jam and cheese on toast at the same time.
That's right.
So I can only imagine how these are going to go down.
So this, I think, is a lovely recipe. And this, you also have your oven at 180 degrees.
Okay.
And then you need a cup of strong cheddar cheese, but it must be finely grated, not on the rough side.
Oh, the
Okay?
smaller one.
The smaller one, okay. 2 cups of cake flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, a pinch of salt, and 250 grams of cold butter, grated. I think you could use margarine if you had to.
Okay.
And then some smooth apricot jam, but that must be very cold. You know, take it out the fridge.
All right.
I do keep mine when it's open in the fridge.
So
but
do
it's
I,
a good idea to keep it. This must be cold
Nice and
anyway.
chilled, okay.
And then what you do is you sift together the flour, your baking powder and the salt. Then you add your butter and blend it till it's like coarse crumbs. And then you add your cheese and you mix it until the dough comes together. And then you cover it in the fridge for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
That you also make into balls. And you flatten the balls with the heel of your hand and make a little indent with your thumb.
Okay.
And then you put a little bit of jam in. Be careful, don't put too much jam in because it bubbles over when you cook it.
That's what I was thinking,
so if you take a
yes.
teaspoon and you just take the tip of a teaspoon,
Just a little drop in the center
and
of
then
each one.
and then the jam is cold anyway.
Okay.
And you bake that for 10 to 15 minutes until it's golden brown. And you've got this delicious sort of savoury sweet.
Yes, and I know quite a few people that love the combination of savoury and sweet.
So I think that's a jolly good idea.
Something
that too.
different as well.
Yes.
I like
so
that.
2 nice recipes to think about.
Yes.
And then some nutty wheat muffins.
And I love that you're keeping these recipes nice and easy.
I don't like
Especially,
difficult recipes.
you know, with women working and coming home and still having time,
That's right.
on their hands. Time is
That's right.
constrained. So
Now, I agree with you. Now, this recipe, I used to have a dear friend, Mrs. Taylor, who used to live at Sinsa.
Yes.
And when I used to work in the office there, at 10 o'clock, she used to make tea on her stoop, and she'd send the maid down to say, tea is served, and I used to go up there, and she used to have these either scones or these lovely nutty wheat muffins ready.
Oh, lovely.
And they are so nice, easy to make, and can be kept, can be frozen,
Okay.
take out when you need them. So a nice recipe and very healthy as well.
Oh, super.
For this, you need a cup of boiling water and a cup of raisins. Now, what you do is pour the boiling water over the raisins and let that cool slightly.
Okay, that softens
And
them.
That's right. And then you need a cup of brown sugar and a tablespoon of soft margarine. And then you need 500 mils of nutty wheat, which is 2 cups, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of bicarb, and 2 mils of salt. Now, what you do is you, as I say, have your boiling water over your raisins and let that cool slightly. Then mix your sugar and marge. Then add your nutty wheat, sifted with the baking powder, the salt, and the bicarb. And then you make a well in the center and you add your raisin mix. And then you stir till that's well blended. And you spoon this into greased muffin pans and bake it at 180 for 20 minutes. And you can serve that warm, sliced and buttered.
Ooh.
And as you see, this recipe has no eggs in it, eh?
I've noticed that, yes.
Which is actually quite different.
That it is, and convenient, of course.
And not also much marge. So,
Yes.
but it's really, they sort of very crumbly but very tasty.
Are they also quite moist, though, because of the lack of
Yes,
eggs?
they are.
Oh,
They
super.
are. No, they're really very nice. I think the boiling water and the raisins give it that moistness, you know.
Yes, and a little bit of extra depth of flavour as well.
That's right. So those are really very nice to make.
Perfect.
I want to talk about making food for birds.
Oh, wow.
Sounds weird.
It's
but
something
we're going
different.
to talk about that.
Sandy, I'm super excited about this one because you can actually be really creative with it as well.
Absolutely. I'm very fond of birds, and I've got a big tree in the front of my garden where I can watch what happens, and a
Yes.
nice little water feature where they all come and bath
and play and splash.
play and splash, which is wonderful. And this, I know this is not cooking, but it's still cooking.
Yes,
because
technically
it's
it is.
cooking for my birds.
Well, there we go.
So-
And we are fond of our animals and we try to preserve them and look
That's
after
right,
them.
and I like to attract birds to the
Yes.
garden, you know. And of course, you get the different kind of birds. You get your barbets and your robins, all sorts of different things.
Especially if you're living out here by the coast, you get all sorts of varieties.
You do, and it's super to be able to do this. Now, the one that I do quite often is I make I take a block of wholesome, which you can buy at the spa. You find it where the oils are. It's just like a suet or a lard. Okay. And I usually buy just one block. It's about R6. Can't remember if it's 125 grams or 250, but that one you will find there. They don't have another size. And then you put this in a little pot and let it melt gently.
Okay.
And then take a little bit of peanut butter. I take a nice heaped tablespoon of peanut butter
Yes.
and let that go in as well. And then you put some oats. You can put some oats in. I take just milli meal, couple of spoons of milli meal, even a little bit of flour, add that in. And then I do take some of the bird seed, like you said, that chick stuff or whatever.
Yeah, the fine little corn that's all
right.
little pieces.
That's right.
Pigeons and doves love that.
They love that, but strangely enough, they don't eat the that fat mixture, the doves.
Really?
Yeah, no, they don't. But anyway, but all the other birds love it.
Well, there we go.
And then you put that all together and let it just all melt and bind together.
Okay.
Until you've got a nice mixture. If you've got some cooked kitchen scraps, you can add that in as well.
What were you telling me about sweet potato? There's a bird that loves that.
Potatoes, yes, a baked
Yes.
potato. Yes, you put a cooked potato, but it must be baked.
Yes.
And the barbets come and eat that.
Oh, there we go.
They pick it, lovely. Of course, fruit they love as
I
well.
was just thinking you could now specifically like some more berries maybe. Maybe a little apple grated.
Apple, I just put half an apple. I've got a place where I can put them on little their nails.
Oh, almost like skewer things.
That's right.
Yes.
And do that. But to get back to the fat one, what you do then is once everything's melted and joined together, take it and put it into, you can use plastic cups if you've got them, like a tumbler type thing.
Okay.
A small one. Or I usually use a polystyrene small cup.
Okay.
And it makes about 2, and put them in the freezer Doesn't take long to get solid.
Okay.
And then I take one out at a time.
Does it actually freeze, Sandy, or does it just go solid?
It just goes
sets?
solid. It doesn't actually freeze.
Okay.
And then you take one out at a time, and the netting that you use for that you get
Onions
your
or potatoes,
potatoes in,
yes.
or if you can even ask at the store if somebody will give you a nice piece that you can use, and knot it at the one end. Pop that in, knot it at the other end, and hang it on a nail on the side of the tree,
Yes.
or on a branch, and you will be amazed to see how many birds come and enjoy that.
Oh, wow.
And what they, you get all different kinds of birds.
The nice thing is,
enjoying that.
once they know what it is and what it's for, and it's for
absolutely.
their little eating pleasure,
Let me tell
it'll
you,
bring more and more of them
It
to your
does,
garden.
and they absolutely enjoy that. So that's really quite a good idea to make.
I love that idea.
I've actually, a lot of friends of mine have made that, and they still can't believe how much
And how it entices the birds to the garden.
entices the birds to the garden. So always try and do that. I mean, the small fine seeds are okay for the sparrows and the finches, and even popcorn and that chick works well for doves and pigeons.
Okay.
You can put that out for them, but spread that away from the finer foods, because they attract the little birds. Are
Yes.
separate from the bigger birds.
True.
Otherwise, you've got the pigeons jumping on top of the little birds, and it's amazing
Chasing
how
them away and shame.
but the little finches are quite cheeky. They chase the other birds
They
away.
are.
Yeah.
Are you going to post this recipe for the
Yes,
birds?
I'll post that recipe
Fantastic.
for the birds, and I think I'll put those nice cheesy biscuits on too.
Yes,
because
please.
those are very nice to have. I did, by the way, just this morning put the rusk recipe on.
Oh, super.
From last year,
Okay.
last week. So that is on. So I'm sure you guys can all enjoy that.
There we go.
So, folks, that's all I've got for this morning.
Fantastic.
A little bit of a mixture of things.
Yes,
but
and I
different
like that.
for a change.
Absolutely. A change is as good as a holiday, they're saying.
Absolutely, and the kids can even enjoy helping you get the bird seed
That's
thing
a nice
together.
holiday project, yes.
And then putting it out for the birds, and everybody will see just how much they enjoy that.
Wonderful ideas. Thank you so much for coming
It's
in
a
and chatting
pleasure.
to us.
And enjoy the week, folks. This is the last week of school holidays.
Yes.
So back to work and back to school, I mean,
Yes.
on Monday. And maybe for some folks who've had holidays, also maybe back to work. But for now, enjoy your week. Keep cooking and enjoy it.
There we go. Sandy,
Bye for
thank
now.
you so much.